That's another, I mean, I want to give you like the simplest way of thinking about it, and then we can get more complex. But, you know, or think big. Think big. Whenever Jupiter is somewhere, think big thoughts, big feelings. Jupiter in Cancer, big feelings. Jupiter in Leo, big heart. Yeah? Big sense of self, Jupiter in Leo. My daughter, Kate. Oh, okay? Jupiter in Leo, right? And another way to think about it is Jupiter is all about our connection to Source in a way. It's like how we feel connected to Source and the faith, it has a lot to do with faith. Jupiter has a lot to do with religion, spirituality. Sometimes when people have really prominent Jupiters, they might be incredibly religious, you know? It has a kind of zeal to it in a way. But wherever your Jupiter is, that's where you feel most, like your inner faith comes to you when I do such and such, when I am initiating, when I am meticulous and organized and purifying and perfecting, you know, Jupiter in Virgo. When I am in my group with my people, Jupiter in Aquarius. Jupiter, as I said, is the ruler of Sagittarius, right? We have Jupiter in Sag, right? We have a couple of Jupiter in Sagittarius. And it also is the esoteric ruler of Aquarius. Jupiter in, where are we? Jupiter in Aquarius. Jupiter in Aquarius, it's the soul-centered ruler. So, you know, because Jupiter ultimately is inclusive. Jupiter says, come on, let's all go along. And that's what Aquarius wants. Aquarius wants the group that is non-discriminative, that is, you know, one humanity, that allows for the radiant individuals to shine within the group. And Jupiter says yes to that, you know? Says yes to selflessness, says yes to harmlessness, says yes to can't we all get along. So Jupiter loves to be in Aquarius because that is the only way we're going to save our world, through the power of the group, right? Here it is, here's Jupiter, this gigantic planet, right? So when Jupiter goes to the extreme, when it goes into its negative world, thank you, it's all about excess, too much, indulgence, okay? Indulgence, too much of a good thing. Jupiter should be really about pleasure, what brings us pleasure. But when we deny ourselves pleasure, it's sort of a furtive way to feel full and to feel that Jupiterian sense. That's when we overindulge in anything. When we overindulge in books, Jupiter in Gemini, you know. When we overindulge in sex, Jupiter in Scorpio, perhaps. When we overindulge, you know, any of these things. It's too much. And some of you have Jupiter conjunct the Sun, which is beautiful, you know, because it gives you that generosity of spirit, it gives you that largesse, it gives you that, like, you know, here I am, I want to give my gift. And the opposite of that is, I'm doing too much of this, and I've got to watch out for swinging in that direction. Does that make sense? So, just to look, so who has Jupiter in a fire sign? Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo? Just this, it's so simple, but it starts to make sense. Inner faith comes when you're outgoing, enthusiastic, dramatic, assertive, physically active, when you're engaged that way. That's how your inner faith comes, you know? Here's Andrew who, like, to get to God, like, will work out every morning. Do you know what I mean? To have this connection with, you know, the connection with sense of source, connection with sense of, like, emptiness. It's that physical vitality. That inner faith comes that way, all right? And the opportunities for anybody with Jupiter in fire signs are stimulated when you take risks, when you jump in, when you express yourself, when you try new things. Yeah, can you feel that energy where Jupiter's like, let's go, let's do it. That's the fire sign of Jupiter. It just wants to take off on adventure. And perhaps Jupiter's most at home in fire, at a fire sign. If you think about it, it rules Sagittarius, a fire sign, and it's exalted in Cancer. So maybe it's most at home in fire and water. Because the fire is enthusiastic and the water is loving and inclusive. And Jupiter loves both of those things. So it's something to think about with that. All right, and who has Jupiter in Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn? Earth signs, one has a sense of inner faith. The inner faith comes when one is practical, when one is dependable, when one can have an experience of the senses. You know, I have a friend who has Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter in Taurus is so, it's like, please surround me with beauty, surround me with sensuality, surround me with all things beautiful, you know? And of course, you can be overly indulgent with Jupiter and Taurus because you like all good food, all good, you know, all beautiful, yummy, sensual things, but then you can do too much, right? But the earth signs are like, my inner faith comes through dependability and my opportunities come when I work hard. See, the more you do of Jupiter in your sign, the more you do of whatever sign, the more you give it out, the more you're going to get back. The more you embody the energy of the Jupiter in whatever sign it is and say, all right, Jupiter in Taurus, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to manifest, I'm going to be practical, I'm going to be reliable. Then you are going to manifest, then you are going to have very tangible things into your life. Okay? So opportunities are stimulated when one works hard, assumes responsibility, and tunes into nature and its rhythm. Okay? Jupiter in air signs, Aquarius. We have a couple of Aquariuses, right? We don't have any Libras and we don't have any Geminis. Okay. So inner faith is stimulated through exploring new ideas, communicating with new people, social improvement. It's much more the exchange of like, we could do this and we could do that, and let's discuss this and let's connect these groups, you know, let's be a part of this group and connect them. And you have a sense of inner faith when all these groups are working together as one. It's actually very interesting when I think about the two Jupiter and Aquarius, because here's Gons is in many, many different groups that involve writing and communicating and you know, all your different workshops, you know, and you are instrumental in connecting all these different groups, you know, so there's Jupiter brings a kind of fusion. It blends things together, okay? So your opportunities will come when you express your ideas enthusiastically and when you interact with others for a future goal, because Aquarius, you know, all of these have ideas about the ideal, you know. So big ideas, big words, big communication. And then Jupiter in water signs, Scorpio, and I'm Jupiter in Cancer. And we have a Jupiter in Pisces. So actually we have the three water signs represented. And so inner faith here is stimulated through the depth of emotional experience and through the positive expression of one's compassion and imagination. And it's so interesting when I think about it for myself. You know, I have this thing where when I'm sitting with people that are, you know, talking a lot about, I'm so terrible talking about anything about politics or culture or I can't even explain it. All I want to do is sit with people like, how are you? How do you feel? You know, that's all, you know, it's the only thing that seems to interest me, you know, and otherwise I'm just sort of like, or when somebody's talking about, you know, whatever it is, I'm like, but I wonder what's really going on. You know, I mean, that's a little bit of the Jupiter and the water signs. They want to have the connected, depthy, emotional experience, and they want to have a transformative effect, okay? Somebody with Jupiter in Pisces, huge heart, huge compassion, perhaps too much so. Oh my God, the world needs so much help, and you know, what am I going to do? How can I, little me, help? You know, there's like this sense of like huge, boundless compassion. So opportunities come when one is sensitive and caring towards others, and when one intuitively follows one's inner yearnings. So let's just be a little bit more specific. Let's be specific and sort of like grounded about this and say, all right, let's say that Jupiter, let's go through the signs just a little bit like with simple words, okay? So Jupiter in Aries versus Jupiter, every time we look at signs together, we can look at the opposition. We can look at Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, because those are the opposites, right? So Jupiter in Aries, as we've been saying, big ideas, big initiative, yes to initiative, yes to starting things afresh, yes to jumping in. And you might be a little foolhardy. You might might be too much of a risk taker with Jupiter and Aries. You might be too headstrong in a way, like, I'm gonna do this, and then you bungee jump off the bridge without checking your harness or something. I don't know, you know? So it's very like, woo, very big, right? Jupiter in Libra, yes to relationship, yes to harmony, yes to beauty, yes to cooperation, yes to the right execution of the law, because Libra is the law in a way. You know. By the way, I gave you all your own little version of Jupiter and Aries, Jupiter and Taurus, so you have your own. And some of the little points are going to make sense to you, and some of them you're going to have to stay with me a long time to be like, what do you mean by that? But I just wanted to give you a juiciness of the full spectrum for you and your particular sign, so that you can really go depthy with it. And the more you will grow as, let's say, Jupiter in Aries by initiating. You will grow Jupiter in Libra by cooperating. Okay? Now let's say, like I said, too much Jupiter in Aries, foolhardy, risk-taking. Too much Jupiter in Libra, too much reliance on the other, perhaps. Or too much like partnership, give me more, you know? Like I can't, maybe not enough of a desire to stand alone. Yeah? Jupiter in Taurus, we discussed it a little bit, you know? Oh, yes to beauty, yes to sensuality, yes to illumination, because Taurus is the third eye of the bull. So Jupiter and Taurus people love like the enlightenment, anything that has to do with enlightenment. Give me more light, give me more, you know, let me go and meditate, whatever. They love to be the yes to the sitting bull that becomes enlightened, right? And yes to the delicious chocolate, okay? So Jupiter and Taurus, and yes to the material things of the world. Like Jupiter in Taurus wants the beautiful car and the beautiful home and the beautiful, you know, that those things are, on one level, those things are very pleasing for Jupiter and Taurus. Jupiter in Scorpio, yes to depthy, intense, penetrating connection. Yes to anything that involves transformation. Yes to anything that is about plunging into the dark and emerging in the light. Even though Bruce like, no, no. Yes to a fearlessness. You know, you can also think of Jupiter in terms of like a fearlessness, right? Maybe a fearlessness around some of these, like Scorpio rules sex and death and any kind of transformation. So somebody with Jupiter and Scorpio might be very comfortable working with the people that are dying, working with those kind of transitions. They might be the person that comes in and really helps people usher to the next place, you know? So yes, there. And an opportunity to achieve a fuller understanding about those areas, all right? Also, Taurus and Scorpio are very financial signs, remember? They're the second and eighth house. So again, it's yes to money, Jupiter and Taurus, and yes to resources and working with other people's money, Jupiter and Scorpio. There's a gift in those areas, okay?